Yo, what is up? So in this tutorial, we're going to be bringing hair into Unreal Engine. And I was going to go ahead and start setting hair on our characters, but I kind of want to just go ahead and, take the time to go over some of the hair settings and, options and stuff, and like generating cards as an option and things like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do in this one. It should be fairly quick. There's just, some settings you should know about with hair, because hair can be expensive, especially if you're using strands. They have an option to generate cards and stuff, and I'm gonna kind of go over that as well. So let's just hop into it. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do in your Unreal Engine, we're gonna go into plugins, and you want to type in Groom, and you want to check this Alembic Groom importer. So we're just going to toggle that and go ahead and restart the project. Alright, so once your project is restarted, we can just close this down for now, and we're going to hop into Blender. I'm going to open the hair that we made yesterday. So we got this hair. So what you want to do is, if you still have your head, we can just go ahead and hide the head, and we'll highlight our hair here, and we're going to just go ahead and export this. Or actually, there's some settings I can go on in here. So there's an option, typically when you make hair in Blender, there's an option to, convert this to hair cards. But because we're using that, because we're not doing it the typical way you would do it in Blender, if you convert cards in Blender, it doesn't look good. So this is like converted, and you come over here to the curves and go down to geometry and extrude, and it doesn't work very well because of the plugin we're doing. So I'm gonna show you the option that Unreal Engine has for converting strands of the cards. So if you know anything about Blender and how to make hair without this add-on, you can convert cards this way, but because we're using the add-on, the card option is it's not very good. So we're just not gonna do that. Let me just reopen this. So we're just gonna export this how it is, and I'm gonna show you the experimental thing that Unreal Engine has for converting the cards. So let's just highlight our hair here. We're gonna go up to File, Export, Alembic, and over here on the settings, you want to set start frame to 1, end frame to 1. We're going to set the scale to 100, and you want to turn this and this off, and we're going to turn all of this off, and that should, right here on render, you can choose your render and viewport settings. You want to keep it on render though, but go back and check on your particle system. Make sure your display and render amount are the same, because if they're not, you will, if you just change your display amount, when you export it, you're gonna get the render amount. So just keep that in mind. Make sure those are the same. So yeah, we're gonna go back up to Export, Alembic, set the scale to 100, set the end to 1, and we're going to turn that and that off. We're going to turn all this off, and we're just going to export. I'm just going to export over the hair that I already exported for testing, so just export that. We're going to hop back into Unreal Engine. We're going to go into our content. We're going to make a new folder called Custom Hair, and I'm going to go into there, and we're just going to find our hair. So right here, let's see, the hair 1.abc. We're gonna bring that in. We exported wrong, so let's see why. Yeah, if you don't export the hair properly, you'll get this. You do not want this menu. This means you did not export your hair properly. So we will do that again. So File, Export, Alembic, set the scale to 100, set this to 1. I think we forgot to hit selected objects. So hit selected object and visible object right there. I think that's what we messed up on. So let's check that again. We'll just export that and bring this in. And yeah. So this is the menu you want. This is the way it should be. If you get that other menu, it means you didn't export right. So on rotation, I'm gonna set the this first one to -90, and then I'm just gonna import the hair and make sure that's rotated properly. Yeah, looks like we're good. So let me just we may want to rotate that on the Z by 180. So let me look. Yeah, we're gonna want to rotate that again. Okay, so actually, click on your hair, and we're just gonna delete that one, and we're gonna bring it back in. So pull the hair in. You can leave that -90. We're gonna rotate it on the Z-axis by 180. So import that, bring it in, and that way it'll be properly facing, because you can look on the Y-axis, and on the Y-axis of this, you're gonna want it to be facing that way. So let's just open the hair, and we're gonna talk about some of the settings here. First thing we're gonna talk about is the LOD settings here. So just like, you know, in the metahumans, you have different LODs for your hairs and stuff. You're definitely gonna want to use this, because let's pull up the frames per second. And I'm gonna delete her so she's not taking up frames. But you can see right now, we just have one LOD on this, and I'm getting about 87, 88 frames per second. But you can come up here and you can add LODs. So just press the plus right here, and it'll, you know, generate some LODs. You can also go into some of the settings here to change the settings per LOD, but it'll automatically generate, you know, some settings for your LODs. I'm gonna add 5, just like metahumans have. So that's LOD 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it should automatically use that. And you can see from here on LOD 0, I'm getting like 70, 80, 75, 70, 80-ish. Then back here, it'll go up between like 95-ish to 97 and 98-ish. And yeah, so that's something you definitely want to look at. We will pull that hair back up, and if you look on your LOD settings here, you have the geometry type. So the way MetaHumans does it is, I think on LOD 0 and 1, they use strands. But if you open this menu, you see you have the options for cards and meshes. So typically, you know, on the lower settings, they're gonna use cards. But because we're using the that plugin, we can't really generate cards. But Unreal Engine does have an option to generate cards. It is experimental, so just be aware of that. But you can go on up here to the cards menu, and you can generate cards, and they have a little menu here that says imported, and you can import cards. So if you wanted to, you can make a card version of your hair in Blender. You know, it's going to be a little bit more challenging because of the way we're doing our hair. But if you do hair without this plugin, it'll be a little bit easier for you, for those of you that, you know how to do it that way. But because we're not doing it that way, I'm just going to show you how to use this procedural generated version. So you can click the procedural version right here, and just like the LOD settings here, you can come over here and add, you know, add assets, and it'll automatically generate them to your different LOD indexes there. So I'm just gonna add 5 of these, one more, 5, And just to kind of show you, let's do this. I'm using LOD4 on my MetaHuman, so I'm gonna generate the card for LOD4 right here. And all you got to do, you can change some of the settings here as well. They have more settings that you can change. But I'm just gonna generate this real quick, and all you got to do for that is just hit the little save button right here, and it'll generate it. So if you look in your custom hair menu here now, you have a hair card version of your hair now. And just to show you, we can go back into the LODs, and on our LOD4 you can change this from strand to cards, and you can scroll out and let's see, why did that disappear? It shouldn't just disappear. Let's see, we generated a card. Let me click back on that LOD. Let's see. Let's set. I'm gonna change my minimum LOD down here to 4. LOD 4 is not using the card for some reason. So let's try it on a different LOD. Let's just try it on a higher LOD real quick. So I'm gonna go back into the cards menu here. And let's just try it on LOD 1 and generate one right there. And let's go back over here and we'll try that on LOD 1. Come back in closer. It's disappearing. It didn't do that. Did not do that in my test. So yeah, it shouldn't do that. Oh, it might be because of the material actually. So let's hop into this. And right now it's just using the world grid material. Hair main. Type in hair main. Hair default material. Try to change it to that. It might be because of that. Nope. Nope. It worked completely differently in my testing. Like I said, this is experimental, so be wary of that. I'm guessing that's probably the reason why it's acting differently now. So I'm gonna change this back to strands. And let's see. Let's go back to our cards menu here. And hop into this one. And hair default. Try that on this one. And go back to the LODs. LOD 4. Yeah, it's still going invisible. It didn't do that. Did not do that on my my test. It worked just fine on my test. So yeah, I'm guessing it's because it's experimental, so it's a little janky. So I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. I would probably just recommend sticking to strands, because the card generator is experimental. So just be aware of that. But also be aware that strands is going to be, more expensive than cards. But you can still, set LODs on them. And it will help a little bit with how expensive it is. So yeah, let's just go and talk about some of the other settings. So, yeah, you have interpolation and stuff here, but the one that I really want to talk about here is on the strands. You can come in here and basically change some of the settings that we were able to change in Blender. So you can change like the root scale and the hair tip scale. Set those backs. You can change the shadow density. You know, there's other settings in here you can experiment with. Voxelize, use stable rasterization. That'll kind of make it a little thicker, or you know, appear to be thicker. And let's see. The material. Oh yeah, something else. Let's go into the binding. So typically when you would typically if you're not doing something like a character creator and you want to bring custom hair in, typically you would create a binding to the specific, you know, the specific character that you would want this hair to go on. So because we're doing a character creator, we're not going to be creating a binding, because when you try to put hair on another character that has a binding on it, that hair will just fly off of them. So because of that, we're going to have to do a we're going to have to like manually set where this hair goes on each head type. So yeah, it's going to be quite a pain. It's not fun, but yeah, that's the way we're gonna have to do it. And yeah, I think that's kind of all the settings I wanted to go over. I kind of wish the card system would have worked. It worked in my test, but it does not want to work here, sadly. But yeah, we're gonna call it here for this one. So in the next part, we will go ahead and start setting our hair to our heads. Like I said, it's quite a pain to get the hair to work on the different heads. Like we have to manually adjust, you know, the location of where the hair goes based on which head we have chosen. So I'll probably break it up into a few different parts, because we're gonna have to, you know, test the location on each head type and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what we'll be doing in the next one. But for now, we're going to call it here for this one. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're new around here, definitely subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know those down in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.